Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear me loud and clear today. You don't stumble into transformation. You force yourself into it. Life will never politely ask you, would you like a new beginning? No, life will keep handing you the same old cycles until you have the courage to reset. And let me tell you, a reset is not comfortable, it is not convenient, and it is not casual. A reset is intentional, it is disruptive, and it is the birthplace of breakthroughs. Discomfort is the door that most people run from, but it's the very door that leads to the reset they've been praying for. Every time you feel discomfort, you're standing at a crossroads. Will you retreat to what's familiar, or will you press forward into the unknown? See, most people think success is found in comfort, but the truth is comfort is the silent killer of greatness. The couch feels good, the habit feels easy, the routine feels safe. But those things are designed to keep you exactly where you are. Nothing extraordinary has ever been born in the womb of comfort. It's always birthed through struggle, through stretching, through discomfort. If you can force yourself to embrace discomfort instead of resisting it, you will unlock doors that comfort could never give you the keys to. Think about this: a seed must be buried in the dark, pressed down, and broken apart before it can grow. That process is not comfortable, but it's necessary. If the seed could speak, it would probably say, "Why am I in this dark place? Why do I feel pressure all around me?" But what feels like pressure is preparation. What feels like discomfort is development. And just like that seed, your reset requires you to push through environments that feel tough, seasons that feel heavy, and moments that make you question if you can even endure. But here's the hook. The discomfort you feel today is proof that growth is on the way. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid development. The job you hate but refuse to leave, the unhealthy relationship you know you should cut off, the business idea you keep putting off because it feels risky. These are the comfort zones that rob people of their reset. You will never reset your life by staying where it's easy. Easy keeps you broke. Easy keeps you stagnant. Easy keeps you average. Discomfort pushes you to create new habits, to think new thoughts, to stretch your faith in ways you've never done before. Discomfort forces you to face the parts of yourself you've been ignoring. And here's the truth: you cannot conquer what you refuse to confront. The people you admire, the leaders you follow, the entrepreneurs you look up to, every single one of them has walked through seasons of intense discomfort. They didn't get there because it was convenient. They got there because they embraced what others ran from. They understood that the muscle of discipline, the resilience of character, and the courage of faith are all built in the gym of discomfort. The more you train yourself to lean into discomfort, the more powerful your reset becomes. Here's what you have to ask yourself: are you willing to be uncomfortable long enough to become unrecognizable? Because that's what a reset does. It makes you unrecognizable to your past. The old version of you won't even know how to function in the environments the new you is creating. But that only happens if you stop running back to what feels good and start running toward what makes you grow. Discomfort is the signal that you are leaving behind the familiar territory and entering the land of your potential. And if you ever want to discover how high you can climb, you must be willing to let go of the ledge of comfort. So the next time you feel discomfort, don't resent it, don't resist it, and don't retreat from it. Respect it. Because it is the universe's way, it is God's way of telling you, you are on the edge of your next level. Stop praying for the reset while running from the very thing that activates it. You want transformation. It won't come wrapped in ease. It comes wrapped in discomfort. And when you stop fearing discomfort and start forcing yourself to embrace it, that's the moment your reset truly begins. Excuses are the invisible chains that keep most people locked out of the life they were created to live. They sound good, they feel justified, and they seem rational. But at the end of the day, excuses are just lies we tell ourselves so we can stay comfortable in failure. You can't excuse your way into a reset. You can only execute your way into it. Every excuse you allow yourself to repeat becomes a brick in the wall that separates you from your breakthrough. You may say, I don't have the money, or I don't have the time, or I wasn't born into the right family. And while those excuses sound convincing, they do not produce results. They do not change your life. They only serve to keep you where you are, while someone else with the same obstacles, and sometimes even worse circumstances, uses execution instead of excuses to create transformation. Think about this: excuses give you temporary comfort, but permanent regret. Execution gives you temporary discomfort, but permanent results. That's the trade-off. When you make an excuse, you might feel relieved in the moment, like you've justified why you didn't act. But what happens weeks, months, and years later when you look back and realize nothing has changed? That relief turns into resentment. Resentment at yourself for not doing what you could have done when you had the chance. And the truth is, you can either make progress or you can make excuses, but you cannot make both at the same time. Excuses are sneaky because they often wear the disguise of reason. They sound responsible. I can't start my business now because I have bills. I can't work on my health because I'm too busy. But listen closely, those are not reasons. They are excuses dressed up as reasons. The difference is that reasons identify reality while excuses justify inactivity. A reset requires you to strip away every excuse, even the ones that sound noble, and say, no matter what the obstacle is, I will find a way forward. Because here's the hook. There will always be an excuse available, but the question is, will you be available for your destiny? The people who change their lives are not the ones with the least excuses available. They are the ones who refuse to entertain them. Everyone has challenges. Everyone has obstacles. Everyone has a story of why they shouldn't succeed. But some people decide to use their story as fuel, while others use their story as a crutch. And that choice determines whether they reset their life or repeat their past. If you want to reset your life, you have to put your excuses on trial. Ask yourself, has this excuse ever produced a result for me? Has it ever moved me forward? Has it ever helped me reset? The answer is always no. Excuses don't serve you, they sabotage you. They keep you locked in cycles of delay, procrastination, and self-doubt. They keep you rehearsing the same sad song instead of writing a new symphony of success. Here's the hard truth. Your excuses are robbing you of opportunities that will never come again. That business idea you keep excusing away may be the very idea that changes your family's financial destiny. That discipline you keep avoiding may be the very habit that unlocks your health, your confidence, your energy. That relationship you won't walk away from because of excuses may be the very weight that's preventing you from stepping into your reset. Every excuse carries a cost, and the cost is your future. So what's the alternative? Execution. Taking imperfect action even when it's hard. Moving forward even when you don't have all the answers. Acting in faith instead of waiting for certainty. Execution is not about being ready, it's about being willing. And once you become willing to replace excuses with execution, your reset is inevitable. you'll look back and realize the only thing that was standing in the way of your breakthrough was the excuses you kept rehearsing. The reset you're looking for is not waiting for more resources, more time, or more connections. It's waiting for you to stop making excuses and start moving forward. And the moment you decide that excuses will no longer run your life, that's the very moment your reset begins to run its course in your favor. Nothing in your life will truly reset until your mind does. You can change your clothes, you can change your job, you can change your location, but if your thinking doesn't change, eventually your life will circle right back to where it was. Your mind is the thermostat of your destiny. Just like a thermostat sets the temperature in a room, your thoughts set the temperature of your life. If you set your thinking on low, your life will cool down to match it. If you set your thinking on high, your life will rise to that level. The reset doesn't begin with what you do, it begins with what you think. Most people underestimate the power of their mind. They believe circumstances control them, but the truth is their thoughts about those circumstances determine whether they rise or remain stuck. Two people can go through the same hardship, face the same setback, or encounter the same opportunity, but one thrives while the other collapses. The difference is not in what happened to them, it's in how they processed it. That's why forcing yourself to reset your life requires forcing yourself to reset your mind. If your thinking is small, your results will be small. If your thinking is limited, your possibilities will be limited. But when you expand your thoughts, you expand your life. Here's the hook: the prison you're living in is not built with bars of steel. It's built with bars of belief. The thoughts you replay every day: I'm not smart enough, I'm not qualified enough, I'm not ready. Those are the bars keeping you locked in. And as long as you keep those thoughts on repeat, you will remain in a self-made prison even when the door is wide open. A reset requires you to break free from the mental patterns that have been holding you hostage and begin to install new beliefs, new expectations, and new possibilities in your mind. If you want to see a better future, you have to think better thoughts. That's why Scripture tells us to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Transformation doesn't happen because the calendar changes. It happens because your mind changes. And your mind doesn't reset by accident. It resets by intention. That means being deliberate about what you feed it. You cannot fill your mind with negativity, gossip, fear, and doubt, and then expect to walk in clarity, courage, and abundance. Your mind is like soil. It will grow whatever seeds you plant. If you plant weeds of doubt, weeds will grow. If you plant seeds of faith, vision, and purpose, you will harvest a life that reflects those seeds. The most dangerous thing about an unrenewed mind is that it will always sabotage opportunity. You can be standing in front of an open door, but if your mind is conditioned to think small, you won't even recognize it as a door. You'll call it a wall. You'll call it impossible. You'll talk yourself out of the very blessing that's been placed in front of you. That's why your mind has to reset before your life can reset. Because once your mind shifts, you start seeing possibilities where you used to see problems. You start seeing opportunities where you used to see obstacles. And that shift changes everything. Resetting your mind is not about ignoring reality. It's about interpreting reality in a way that empowers you. The same storm that sinks one ship can push another ship forward if its sails are set correctly. Your mind is the sail of your life. If you reset your thinking, even adversity will start working in your favor. You'll stop saying, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn? What can I build? How can I grow?" That single shift in thinking is the foundation of a new life. The truth is your mind has already created the life you're living right now. Your bank account, your relationships, your habits, they are all reflections of your dominant thoughts. If you want a different future, you have to give your mind a different script. That means declaring new truths, imagining new outcomes, and refusing to allow your past to dictate your perspective. The reset begins when you realize you don't have to believe every thought you think. You can challenge it. You can replace it. You can renew it. And once your mind resets, everything else will eventually fall into place. You cannot walk into the future still dragging the baggage of the past. The version of you that has been holding on to old habits, old fears, and old limitations cannot be the same version that creates the reset you desire. Too many people try to step into a new chapter while still clinging to the old one, and that is why they remain stuck in cycles that never change. The truth is, you cannot reset your life until you cut ties with the outdated version of yourself. You have to be willing to let the old you die so the new you can live. And here's the hook. You cannot be reborn if you refuse to release. The old version of you is comfortable because it's familiar. It's the you that knows how to survive, how to play it safe, how to avoid risk, and how to settle. But the problem is, that version of you is also the one that created the life you're currently dissatisfied with. If you don't like where you are right now, you have to admit that the habits, decisions, and mindset of the old you got you here. And if you keep thinking the same, acting the same, and believing the same, you'll keep reproducing the same outcomes. That's why the old you has to go. When a snake grows, it sheds its skin. If it refuses to shed, it cannot expand. Likewise, if you refuse to shed the skin of your old identity, you'll suffocate in the very life you're trying to grow out of. The reset requires separation. Separation from the behaviors that no longer serve you, separation from the patterns that drain you, and sometimes separation from people who only relate to the old you. That doesn't mean you stop loving them, but it does mean you stop allowing them to pull you back into an identity you've outgrown. The old version of you loves excuses. The old version of you procrastinates. The old version of you keeps saying, one day I'll change. The old version of you is addicted to average. But the reset cannot coexist with that mindset. The new you has to be disciplined, decisive, and determined. The new you cannot play at the level of survival. The new you has to operate at the level of significance. That means being willing to disappoint the old you in order to discover the best you. Here's the powerful truth. If you don't intentionally kill the old you will eventually kill your dreams. Every time you choose comfort over courage, that old identity gets stronger. Every time you choose fear over faith, that old version reclaims control. And every time you postpone action, that old you delays your destiny. But when you make a bold decision to say, that version of me no longer exists, you create space for the reset to manifest. Cutting ties with the old you is not easy. It feels like a death because in many ways it is one. You're burying the limitations, the doubts, and the insecurities that you've carried for years. But just like a seed has to be buried before it can sprout, the burial of the old you is what allows the birth of the new you. And when the new you rises, it rises stronger, sharper, and more aligned with purpose. So ask yourself, what part of me needs to die so my destiny can live? What habits do I need to bury? What beliefs do I need to release? What fears do I need to silence? Until you answer those questions honestly and take action, the reset you desire will remain a fantasy. But the moment you cut ties with the old version of you, you unleash a future where your life doesn't just reset, it transforms. Discipline is the muscle that activates the reset. Without discipline, a reset is just a wish, a hope, a dream scribbled in a notebook that never sees the light of day. People talk about wanting change, they talk about wanting a new life, but talk without discipline is just noise. The truth is, the bridge between desire and destiny is built with daily discipline. And here's the hook: if you can master discipline, you can manufacture transformation. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't come with applause. It doesn't trend on social media. And it doesn't always feel good. Discipline is waking up earlier when your body begs to sleep in. Discipline is putting money aside when you'd rather spend it. Discipline is exercising when no one is watching, reading when no one is checking, and practicing when no one is applauding. Discipline is what happens in the unseen, but it creates results that are undeniable. The world sees success and calls it talent or luck. But those who live it know it's the fruit of discipline. When you force yourself to reset your life, you're really forcing yourself into a new rhythm of discipline. Because the old you got here by undisciplined decisions, skipping opportunities, neglecting growth, choosing comfort over consistency. If you want a different future, you can't keep making the same casual choices. You need structure, you need standards, you need discipline. Discipline says, I don't feel like it, but I'll do it anyway. And the more you do it anyway, the more natural it becomes. Here's what most people don't understand: discipline creates freedom. At first, it feels like restriction. It feels like you're saying no to yourself. But in reality, every disciplined choice is a seed planted for freedom in the future. The discipline to save money creates the freedom to invest. The discipline to eat clean creates the freedom to live healthy. The discipline to study creates the freedom to succeed. Without discipline, you are enslaved to impulse. With discipline, you are empowered to reset. Imagine your life like a garden. Your dreams are the plants you want to grow. But discipline is the watering, the pruning, the protection from weeds. Without that, the dream dies. That's why so many people set goals in January and abandon them by February. They confuse motivation with discipline. Motivation is an emotional spark. It excites you. Discipline is a consistent fire. It sustains you. A reset fueled by motivation alone will fizzle out, but a reset sustained by discipline will become unstoppable. The beauty of discipline is that it compounds. The small things you do daily may not look like much, but they stack up. Reading 10 pages today may not change your life, but reading 10 pages every day for a year will reset your entire perspective. Saving $10 today may not feel significant, but saving $10 daily for years will reset your financial trajectory. Discipline compounds silently and then pays off suddenly. People will look at your breakthrough and call it overnight success, but you'll know it was built brick by brick through discipline. The real question is, can you force yourself to do what's necessary even when it's not natural? Because that is where the reset is won or lost. The body resists, the emotions resist, the environment resists, but if your commitment is greater than your comfort, discipline will carry you through. You don't need more time, you don't need more talent. You need more discipline. And when you master it, your reset is no longer a possibility, it becomes inevitable. Most people wait for the calendar to tell them when to change. They say, when the new year comes, I'll start fresh. Or when Monday hits, I'll reset my routine. But life doesn't change on a date, it changes on a decision. Waiting for a certain day to reset is the ultimate procrastination trap. A reset is not an event you wait for. It's a habit you create. And here's the hook: success doesn't respond to someday. It responds to daily resets. Every single day gives you a fresh opportunity to rewrite your story. Each sunrise is proof that you can start again. Yet most people treat their days like reruns of the same old script. They hit the snooze button not just on their alarm, but on their potential. They replay yesterday's excuses, yesterday's habits, and yesterday's failures, expecting today to somehow look different. It never will until you make the decision to reset daily. Consistency is the difference between wishing and winning. The danger of waiting for a yearly reset is that it gives you 12 months of wasted potential. You postpone growth, you delay progress, and you keep telling yourself you'll start later. But later never comes. Later is a thief dressed as a promise. Later robs you of the momentum you could build today. The truth is, the person who resets daily will outpace the person who waits yearly every single time. Why? Because small daily resets accumulate into massive change. Think about it like this. If you only reset once a year, that's one chance to redirect your life. But if you reset every day, that's 365 opportunities to grow, to learn, to improve. Which person do you think will reach their goals faster? The one who treats every morning as a new beginning. The one who says, I may have failed yesterday, but today I reset. I may have been inconsistent last week, but today I reset. That is the mindset that builds unstoppable momentum. Daily resets keep you from being paralyzed by perfection. So many people quit because they mess up once and feel like the whole journey is over. They skip a workout, they break a budget, they lose focus, and then they say, I'll start over next month. That mindset keeps them stuck. But when you practice daily resets, you give yourself permission to fail forward. You learn to say, I slipped, but I reset. That small shift keeps you consistent long enough for success to take root. Here's the powerful truth. Greatness is not built in grand moments, it's built in daily disciplines. The champions you admire don't win because they made one huge decision one time. They win because they reset every single day. They reset their focus, their attitude, their actions. They refuse to let one bad moment ruin a whole day, and they refuse to let one bad day ruin a whole future. That's the mindset of people who live extraordinary lives. So the challenge is this: don't wait for January to reset your life. Don't wait for a crisis to wake you up. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because it will never come. The perfect moment is the one you create by deciding to reset right now. If you treat each day as a gift, each morning as an invitation, and each choice as a reset button, your life will transform in ways that will shock everyone around you. And when people ask, how did you do it? The answer will be simple. I didn't just reset once, I reset daily.